What made you lose respect for someone? In college, my aunt, who lives pretty close by, was dying. I felt pretty emotional at the time. My ex told me that my aunt does not matter much as she does. I dumped her right on the spot. My 13th Christmas, when I found out the hard way that my father, who had been an alcoholic all of my life, except for a brief period of 3 months before this, wasn't just an alcoholic but also a pedophile and rapist. Hit up one of my only friends in high school to hang out during the summer. One of the times I hit him up, he told me he was in London and not in NYC, where we live. The same day I saw him in the train station at Times Square. He later told me he had some sort of issue with his grandmother, which was probably a lie to keep our friendship intact. I would always hit him up to hang out, but he would just make excuses to not. I think that's the day I drew the line. It's sad too, because I was going to school at a district not even in my borough, so the only friends I could really relate to was him and one other friend. Everybody else I felt like I didn't relate to at all. What made me quick to lose and end half my friendships with some people, and also my respect for them, is when they pretend to be innocent and rub that BS in my face. Knowing my old friend seriously catfished me on Facebook Messenger in 2018 to 2019, and my other old friend is on Instagram half naked, selling claps and smoking bongs and vapes 24/7. I'm 19 years old, and I rather contemplate than to stress all this. I promise, I'm calm. My principal called me a useless excuse of a human being in front of my whole school at 8 years old. Let's just say I made the rest of my time at that school a living hell for him. Terrible grammar in language. When my father didn't help me take my molester to court after having told him I was molested at around 10. When he emotionally and mentally abused me for years. When he withdrew helping me get access to a car last year when I was trapped in another abusive relationship with a former boyfriend, just because I wanted to set a boundary with my dad of not wanting to talk about a specific subject on the phone and had to politely hang up. This straight girl I know posted a photo of herself on Facebook with another straight girl and the caption, "Lesbian perfume shoot." I lost respect for her on account of the gay tokenization, but more on account of the bore factor. It's 2021, lesbianism is no longer a tagline. Use a hashtag. Get a TikTok. Snooze alert. Probably a you had to be there moment, so now you've lost respect for me and this boring post too. While casually mentioning something crazy I'd heard to a friend, "Oh, did you hear about politician so and so? He thinks women can only get pregnant if they want to. Can you believe that nonsense?" Friend's wife turns and look at me, stone cold serious. Yeah, that's completely true. I knew they were down the rabbit hole, but I had no idea. I was in the Kickstarter for CR $3,538 then they tell me they was just sending a belt kit and now it backslashes over $1,000. Who at their right freaking mind would only buy a belt kit and not the printer? They don't backslashed want to make it right. So I backslash them out of $500 and I not saying names but you can just guess. You bet I backslash and pissed off. But you ask and I will never buy from them again even if I got 1 FLM and 4 printers from them. All because the almighty dollar. A cousin and their husband used to go out to dinner with my grandmother weekly. She would pay for them. She ended up breaking her back and was in the hospital for quite a while as she recovered, which was right next to the cousin's place of work. They never visited her once. It seemed when they weren't getting something out of it they weren't going to show up. It will always rub me the wrong way. I lost respect for Trump because of his disregard for laws and principles, and his obsession with lying and having everyone do his bidding regardless of if it was wrong or illegal. Turns out he was an anarchist zoophile foot fetish furry. Thought he was a friend but nope, he's crazy now. Moved into an apartment with my best friend of 10 years. His girlfriend moved in a few months after. I wasn't thrilled about it. I came home one night from work after a 12-hour shift to find my belongings were moved around, because the bitch was snooping in my room. She accidentally knocked over a large lamp, which knocked over a vase with flowers and obviously water in it. They both broke, water is all over my floor. If she cleaned it up, I would obviously know someone was in there and suspect something, but now they both are blaming it on a fucking ghost. It's one thing to lie, but to challenge my intellect and blame it on Casper, as if I am a child, is insulting. The following day, they fabricated another ghost story to support the original ghost story so I wouldn't suspect it was them. And usually if you don't know something, you just say I don't fucking know, but they keep bringing up all these theories as to how it may have happened, which makes me even more suspicious. I know it wasn't my best friend snooping in my room, but I'm certain he's embarrassed and feels responsible for the actions of his girlfriend, so he doesn't know how to tell me, so he thinks creating a Disney ghost story would be more credible. I've always known that he wasn't the brightest bulb, but now I know he's actually stupid as fuck to think anyone would believe such bullshit. I'm now moving and taking all my furniture, everything in the apartment is mine. I also pay most of the rent in the apartment, so they won't be able to afford living in the apartment once I move. I feel disrespected. The end. I have several family members that are racist Trumpers who I no longer have contact with. When I was giving life-threatening updates to family members, when a loved one was in surgery/24-day induced coma, and they could not be bothered with walking away from the party they were at or excuse themselves from the table to take my call. After happening twice, I no longer gave verbal updates to that person, his dad. Total loss of respect, broken heart. My so's old boss proudly stated that he had to take time off work cause he couldn't take his son to daycare, out of fear they'd see the handprint bruise on his 3-year-old's butt/back. As soon as someone starts talking smack about someone else, my respect drops precipitously. Inviting 2 friends on my planned vacation to visit my cousin at her condo, they didn't have to pay a dime, by the way, on an island. First time any of us had traveled to this destination. We go to the beach on day 1, it's overcast, and after about 2 hours, I realize I'm thoroughly sunburned. I point this out, and say I have to get out of the sun. One of the girls says I'm not done yet, sunbathing, and was going to let me walk the 20 minutes back to the condo alone. We were attractive women in our late 20s in a strange town. If it weren't for the sudden rain shower, she would have stayed at the beach. My sunburn was so bad, it was hard for me to sleep. I definitely couldn't go in the sun. The next day, instead of them suggesting that we do something like shop, go out to eat, go to a museum, something inside, they left me alone at the condo while they went to the beach. All day. Never went on another vacation. Friends after that. Had a friend that would come over to play and would constantly keep the backyard gate open. The fenced-in area was for my tiny dog. Well, one day Mom lets dog out to do his thing, he sees the open gate and goes for a walk by himself, literally prancing down the sidewalk like a king without a leash. He got about 1 kilometer away before he was found by my dad, thankfully. 6 years later and the little doggo is better trained and safe. When someone accuses you or put false statements on you. That was my ex. So I had no choice but to burn bridges with him. MAGA sign. My co-worker started bad-mouthing his wife, complaining and just speaking about her with no respect. Took that happening once for me to lose respect. When they have no respect for others. If they don't believe we've been to the moon, and they do believe Earth is flat, I don't believe I could respect them and their lack of intelligence. At work, listening to the owner reminiscing with her childhood friend about falsely accusing a teacher of something when they were in grade school and laughing about getting the teacher fired. Ruining a career for shits and giggles is beyond despicable. When my ex-roommate pulled me out of bed at 3 in the morning to scream at me about that she was scared of me and didn't want me to be anywhere near her. She cited me being tall as the primary source of her fear. I put a lock on my door and moved out in a couple months. That was the line for me between my roommate is eccentric and uncomfortable with me being queer to this isn't a safe living environment. My mom's side of the family is refusing to get the COVID vaccine. I loved my mom's side of the family, but if they are refusing to get a life-saving vaccine, and free donuts, because of a few stupid hoaxes. I just can't respect someone who thinks like that. I do understand that some people have medical conditions where if they get sick it could be life-threatening, and I understand that, but if you aren't getting the vaccine because some person on TV said it will give you autism, which is not how autism works, is not a valid reason to not protect yourself and others around you. I also think my mom's side of the family is homophobic because they are hardcore Christians, and as a young member of the LGBTQ+ community I would really enjoy possibly not getting hate crimed by my own family.